Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys of Magic. This is Hunter, David, Steven, and Shane. Say what up, boys.
What's going on?
Hello.
What up, nerds?
We are back doing another Commander Grades video. That's right, still trekking along with all these Fallout pre-con decks. They all have brand new legendary creatures. If you are new here, what these videos are is basically we go ahead and talk about all the legendary creatures from each deck. This one, we are doing Mutant Menace, and we talk about them as potential commanders. Are they good enough? What do we think? We kind of just go over them, give our own opinions on if we like them as commanders, give them a grade at the end, and then wrap it up with the average grade between all four of us. So, without further ado, let's get started. But before we do, I just want to remind you guys to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, so you're staying up to date with all these videos that we're putting out all the time. But this is the Mutant Menace deck. We'll start it with this first card, Agent Frank Horrigan. 5, a black and a green for an 8/6 legendary creature, Mutant Warrior. It's got trample, and it says it has indestructible as long as it attacked this turn. It also says whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, proliferate twice. That's a lot of mana.
That's a lot of
Yep.
mana.
That's a lot of Frank.
Agent Frank.
I mean, 8/6. And it's got trample.
At least
not on
he's-
the turn it comes. Sorry, not trample. It's got indestructible, but not on the
I mean,
turn
it does.
it comes down.
He does
It
have
does
trample.
have trample.
So, is this a good card for like a Golgari Planeswalker party, like Super Friends?
7
Why?
mana.
Who does
It is
that?
expensive. It proliferates twice. You can feel free to use board wipes because you're not going to kill your commander so long as you've attacked with it, which it's an 8/6. You're going to attack with it. You can keep the board clean. You can keep your Planeswalkers really big. I mean, the downside of this card, obviously, is that it's 7 mana. So it is ridiculously expensive. But you
Yeah, I
get this
can-
thing to kick one time, you're probably ulting something.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna be
listen,
honest.
I'm going to play this card, turn 7, and by then, I maybe have like 1 or 2 Planeswalkers that have probably already died because I have no other support in the deck. And then I'll play this on turn 7. And
Steven.
then those Planeswalkers,
I thought anyone but you, bro. What do you always say? You're in green. You're ramping this out. You're gonna play this turn 4. Come on.
No, you're in Golgari, okay? Turn 1, you Soul Ring off of a forest. Turn 2, you play a swamp, and then you tap, I don't know, the swamp for a Dark Ritual. So we're only up to 6. There's a way to do this.
You
We
know what?
jeweled
This-
Lotus. We jeweled Lotus.
Oh,
Shane,
yeah.
why
There
haven't
it
you
is.
not said this yet, Shane? This is a fantastic infect commander.
Nah.
You play all your infect cards and then put this out later.
This card is
enters,
way
you
too
proliferate.
expensive.
You proliferate twice when it enters. This is a card down the road. You just put all
Ooh.
of your infect pieces in. You put this in. You proliferate everybody twice that has poison counters on them, and then every time this swings, they get 2 more poison counters.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Because most of your infectors are going to come down before this, so like you don't necessarily have to worry about the curve. This is the top end of it. So your commander becomes like your win con in this case, and like worst case scenario, okay, you're not going to kill your opponent with infect because you never hit him or something, so you're just going to beat him to death with your indestructible 8/6 trampler.
I'm not
Don't
sold.
worry, Shane. I'm not sold either.
I'm sold. I
Look,
like it.
You guys
here
just
for it.
don't like it because it costs 7 mana, but it is in green and it is in black, the color of Rampant Rituals.
Rampant Rituals, baby. David gets it. Agent Frank.
Dude, Frank's a
That's
tank. I'm here for it.
Let's move on to the grades, Dave. What do you give it, Agent Frank?
He's a C.
Okay.
Dude, I knew it was coming. Like, you can't.
Well, Dave,
Look, he's a lot of mana.
he is a lot of mana. I'm still giving him a B. I think if you run him the infect route, this deck can be mean.
No, Hunter. It can't be. I don't even know if I want to give him a C, dude. I guess I have to give him a C.
I mean, Shane, I gotta say I agree with you, man. And that's why this card's a B.
Let's go, Steven.
Steven, I don't know if you understand the word you just said, but okay.
Agent Frank Horrigan gets the average grade of a B. Next up, Hancock, Ghoulish Mare. It's 2 and a black for a 2/1 legendary creature, Zombie Mutant Advisor. It says each other creature you control, that's a zombie or mutant, gets +X/+X, where X is the number of counters on Hancock Ghoulish Mare. It's also got Undying. Steven, what do you think?
The Ghoulish Mayor here is pretty good. I mean, I play a zombie deck. I think this would slot in pretty good on support. I don't really have that much inspiring stuff here in my mind to kind of make me feel like this would be really good at the helm of a deck. But it's interesting. I like the Undying part of it, so at least it kind of triggers itself. But then I got to play my commander, kill it. Which, I mean, you're in black, so you can sacrifice stuff, and usually that's what you're trying to do, anyways. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not that high on it.
Yeah, I'm not sold either, only because like this wants a lot of counters, and in mono black, I feel like counters aren't that big of a thing. But
Hunter, I'm gonna stop you really quickly just because I really think we need to let David talk.
You guys are so wrong.
go
Okay,
ahead.
zombies is one of the most established tribes in the entire game. Mutants also have some really solid choices there as well. I think the Undying clause on this is just kind of like icing on the cake. There are some very good ways to put +1/+1 counters on this creature. My first brain or my first thought just goes to like Unspeakable Symbol, where you can just dump at instant speed 10 +1/+1 counters on this. This is now a Craterhoof Behemoth functionally for your team that came down on turn 3. That's going to continue to give all of your zombies and all of your mutants that push, so long as this thing remains in play. You could kill your opponents very quickly out of nowhere with this card. And there's a lot of ways in black to be able to get +1/+1 counters. I like this. And that's not even assuming that like it just says counters. It doesn't even actually say +1/+1. So you could give this like a lifelink counter and it gives all of your things +1/+1 on top of that.
True.
True. You're right. It does care about the number of counters. Doesn't matter what kind. Give it a
Dude,
-1/-1 counter, Dave.
No, that sounds bad. What?
I mean, if you do, it'll die and then it'll come back with a +1/+1 counter.
Boom.
I think this is a zombie lord on steroids, dude. And you know how I like me some lords. So I like this
Lord.
card.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I get it.
I don't think you get it.
Zombies.
I don't think you get it.
I do. I understand. I understand what the card's trying to do. You're trying to make your board big.
I'm trying to make him big.
Yeah, which makes the board big. Let's move on to the grades. What do you think about it, David? I think you're the highest on this card.
I probably am. This is a 3-mana Craterhoof Behemoth for a tribe. This is a slam dunk of an A.
See, David knows his stuff. That's why
I
I'm giving it a
disagree.
B.
I'm giving it a C.
I mean, it hurts to do, but I have to give this a C.
Wow.
Hancock Ghoulish Mare gets the average grade of a B. This next one is Harold and Bob, First Numens. It's 2 and a green for a 3/3 legendary creature, tree folk mutant. Got vigilance and reach, and it says when it dies, if it was a creature, return to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control, and Enchanted Forest has tap, add 3 mana of any one color, you get 2 rad counters. Harold and Bob loses all of their abilities. I don't like this card. This is not a commander.
Is there any way
This
to get him
card-
back to like your command zone and like unless someone kills it as an
when it
enchantment?
dies.
Well,
No,
I'm
I
just
mean, when it dies, you can choose where it goes.
oh, I guess
That's going to be really difficult. I'm not going to kill your enchantment.
So
Then
if you
again, you're I don't know. This is
if you choose to bring this back as an enchantment, your commander just kind of just taps for 3 for the rest of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and you get 2 rad counters.
I mean, it's good ramp, but I mean, doesn't seem great.
Nope. Your commander doesn't
No.
do anything. Let's move on to the grades. I'm giving Harold and Bob an F.
we are swinging all over the place here. I'm going from an A to an F back to back.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Harold and Bob an F.
God, man, not Bob.
But what about
It's
Harold?
Harold.
Give him an F.
Harold and Bob, first Numens, gets the average grade of an F.
Newman.
This next card is Jason Bright, Glowing Prophet. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/3 legendary creature, zombie mutant advisor. It says whenever a zombie or mutant you control dies, if its power was different from its base power, draw a card. It also has Come Fly With Me, which means for 2 mana, sacrifice a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. It gains flying until end of turn.
Mono
Very
blue
cool.
though.
Surprisingly, a lot of mono blue zombies.
Yeah.
There
get
are a
that.
lot of mono blue zombies. A lot of the black ones, though, are the ones that care about pumping their power.
Yeah, that's the only issue.
Like, if this were blue-black, this would be a slam dunk for me.
I would agree.
Yeah, I still like the card though.
I think it's cool.
Well, that it's giving your creatures some evasion, and then the ones that are having the evasion, draw you a card when they die, but they're probably not going to
Yeah, you
die
can
while they're
keep-
having the evasion, right?
Yeah, you can sacrifice it and then give something else a counter and it gains flying. And because that had a counter on it, then you get to draw a card.
Yeah. It's kind of slow.
I don't know. I'm kind of here for it. I think it's pretty cool. Am I that high on it? No. But I still think it's cool.
What
I
is
think
let's
this is
move.
one of those cases of, like, too many hoops to jump through.
Yeah. Did Steven say he liked it or not?
No,
Yeah,
but you
does
can
he
wait for my
say-
grade.
Did you say anything yet?
No, I don't
Help.
really.
Talk
Listen,
to
man,
me,
my
Daddy.
mama said, if you don't got nothing nice to say, you don't say it at all.
Let's move on to the grades. Steven, what are you giving Jason Bright?
I got nothing nice to say, so I'm not gonna say it at all.
We gotta say the grade still.
It's a D.
I don't think I'm going to go that low. I still think it has potential to do something in the right kind of build. I'm going to give it a C.
I agree with Hunter, and the right kind of build, it has the potential to do something, which is why it's a D.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was coming as well, but I still think that even in the right situation, it's still not great. Giving it a D.
Jason Bright, Glowing Prophet. It's getting the average grade of a D. This next card is Lily Bowen, Raging Grandma. It's 3 and a green for a 0/0 legendary creature, Mutant Warrior. It's got vigilance and says it enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And then it says at the beginning of your upkeep, double the number of +1/+1 counters on Lily Bowen if its power is 16 or less. Otherwise, remove all but 1 +1/+1 counters from it. Then you gain 1 life for each +1/+1 counter removed this way.
What?
Cool.
What do you mean?
Gonna double to 16 and then just start ticking down? Is that what's happening?
It
No,
doesn't
it's-
tick down. It just
Yeah.
goes down and then starts over.
Yeah.
I like how it just, I don't know.
It's got vigilance, but it gets blocked by a 1/1, my dude.
Yep.
Like a
I
good
could,
point.
I could care less about it being blocked by a 1/1. It's in mono green. It's going to get to a 16/16 at some point, and then I'm going to gain 16 for 15 life.
You got some high hopes thinking it's gonna get to 16.
It
Nobody's
could.
going to give a shit about this card, dude. Nobody's going to waste removal on this.
So,
Watch me.
real quick, you say, for example, you play this on turn 4. On turn 4,
Mhm.
it's a 2/2. On turn
Yep.
5, it's a 4/4. Turn 6, it's
It's
an
an
8/8.
8/8.
Turn
Mhm.
7, this card is usable.
16/16. Yeah.
And that's whenever you probably need to win the game, because if you do make it to turn 10, it got real small again.
I mean, I don't think that at all, because you've gone from turn 4 to turn 5 to turn 6 to turn 7, but you're not saying what you did on turn 5, turn 6, and turn 7.
You're
Well-
swinging at one player.
What I did is, yeah, I don't know. There
Player-
are ways to capitalize in mono green. Like, you can do the kind of like sacrifice a creature to draw X number of cards where X is its power, or those kind of cards. So, like, there are things that you can do here to really capitalize on the big power and toughness ratio. I don't think that you're probably going to be swinging with this just on its face value. It does still just get blocked by a 1/1.
I guess
I mean, there are so many fun mechanics in mono green that deal with like life gain and obviously +1/+1 counters. Not to mention the ramp factor, the card draw engines. I think that this could get out of hand very quick, and I think your opponents might be left raging.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I did it.
I mean, Shane, you go. I keep accidentally cutting you off.
You probably have more words to say that are smarter than me. I was just gonna say you could put the pants on it, I guess, and try to be Voltron one-turn kills, but that's about it.
No, there's so many better Voltron mono green
Yeah,
commanders.
but 16-16 with some pants on. This
I'd rather
grandma's
play
smacking,
Thrun
dude.
than pants don't even matter.
You know, you could put like an Agatha Soul Cauldron in this deck, and then let's say you exile a Walking Ballista, and then you can remove some of the counters before it gets to 16. So you can always have it giant.
Or what you could do is you could Ozolith with this. That way you can repeatedly just gain a massive amount of life.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe like Aetherflux Reservoir. Like there are things that you could do with this card.
Come on,
Well,
keep talking. Let's
Well,
go.
the Ozolith specifically says when a creature leaves, you put all their counters. So it doesn't necessarily take the counters that are being removed.
I mean, we did talk about sacrificing a card with great power to draw a lot of cards.
There's this great responsibility with that, though.
Well, let's move on to the grades. I think we've talked about Lily Bowen too much. I think it's middle of the road. I'm giving it a C.
It's not middle of the road. It's right up there. So it's a B.
I still hate big dumb beaters. I'm gonna give it a D.
I love big dumb beaters, man.
Yeah, I also don't enjoy this card. I'm gonna give it a D.
Lily Bowen, Raging Grandma, gets the average grade of a C. Next up is Marcus, Mutant Mayor. It's 3, a green and a blue for a 4/4 legendary creature, Mutant Advisor. It's got Vigilance and Trample, and says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card if that creature has a +1/+1 counter on it. If it doesn't, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Shane, you love Simic. What do we think of Marcus?
I love Simic, dude. I don't know.
But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. At least this one has trample. So the last one we talked about that was trying to connect didn't have trample. This one does. So more than likely you're gonna be getting through at least with this guy if you attack with him. And then getting some counters on your creatures. That's good. But I don't think I'm here for this card.
I mean, it's Simic, so it sucks.
That's
Well,
not true at
hold on.
all.
This is Simic with card draw. It doesn't say whenever a creature, like one or more creatures. It says whenever a creature. So if you hit with 5 things with +1/+1 counters on them, you draw 5 cards. Also, green, last I checked, is pretty good at putting +1/+1 counters on it. Blue is pretty good at proliferating and drawing cards to begin with. And then isn't there a card in blue, a Merfolk, that says like whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, it just can't be blocked?
That's
Herald
cute,
of the
Dave.
Streams or Secret Streams or something like that.
There you go, dude. This Shrek is nuts, man.
Nah. He's gonna gain
fan.
so much hate, dude. People aren't gonna let you draw that many cards. These guys gonna eat removal over and over and over.
But you're in
Okay,
Simic, so
and then
just
you-
play him again.
Yeah, you're in the best color combination
Hunter.
for ramp.
Hunter, how good is it when you just play your commander over and over and over? Do you have a fun
Pretty
time?
good.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you asking Hunter?
Because he
'Cause I
constantly
play my
plays his
commander
commander over and over and over.
This reminds me of like a big boy version of Edric. And like he only cares about your thing, so your opponents aren't drawing cards.
I don't even know who that
I'm
is.
here for Marcus. I'm completely on David's side here. Put a hardened scales, get the deck going. I don't know. I think Marcus will be nuts. You'd be drawing so many cards.
You know, Shane,
Right.
I think one card I'd really love to put in this deck is probably the Wave Goodbye from that Merfolk deck you did. Return each creature without a +1/+1 counter to its owner's hand. Pretty good.
One-sided board wipes are
Yeah.
pretty good.
Not
That is
really
pretty
wiping,
good.
but close.
One-sided
Close
bounces are
enough.
pretty good.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with you, David, because I think me and you are on the same page. Let's see your grade, and I might join you.
He's an A.
Jesus
Well,
Christ.
I said I might join you, so I'm not going to, but it is a B for me.
So
I love
stupid.
this so much.
Shane?
Yeah, I mean, it's a Simic card that does Simic things, and I love that, but I think the only reason why I'm not giving it an A is that I don't know. I don't like its CMC, but it's a B.
Yeah, I mean, and just like you said, man, it's Simic, so it's an F.
So what is it really?
I don't want to say it. It's a
Say
B.
What
it.
is it? Oh, he said it.
That's right, Simic lover.
Marcus Mutant Mayor gets the average grade of a B. Next up, Piper Wright, Public Reporter. It is 1 and a blue for a 1/2 legendary creature human detective. It says when it deals combat damage to a player, investigate that many times, and whenever you sacrifice a clue, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. That's it.
It's cheap. Comes on early and does
It
some
is
stuff.
cheap. You're right. When it does combat damage, you'll make 1 clue. And then when you sack the clue, you can put a counter on this, and then you swing it again, you can make 2 clues.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Bummer that she has to do the damage though.
She does have to do the damage. But you can give it unblockable.
Bulk.
Yeah, there you go. Skulk.
I don't think you want to give it Skulk because it's going to grin.
No.
Okay, well, give it and then take it away.
Give it and take it away.
He taketh away. I don't like this card at all. What about you, David?
No, I think it's kind of neat for like the first swing, but I think by the time that this becomes relevant, your opponent's probably going to kill it, and then because it is so slow, like even if you cast it later on, it's not going to enter the game again.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of it. Steven?
I mean, I'm actually pretty high on this card. I know that sounds silly. I mean, the unfortunate thing about this card is definitely that it has to deal combat damage to a player, and you investigate that many times. But the real clause here is when you're sacrificing clues, you're putting +1/+1 counters on target creatures you control, or on a target creature. This comes down super early. There is so much support around artifacts and clues, and just being able to do a lot of fun stuff with it. And over the course of my playing Magic, I've noticed I'm really starting to like clues. And
This guy plays Morska one time and loves clues.
now, granted, Morska, lots of extra colors, but mono blue. So just say no a few times until you get to draw your deck and do all the silly things that you want to do.
Yeah, sure. Let's move on to the grades. Steven, I think you're the highest out of all 4 of us. What are you giving Piper Wright?
I am definitely the highest out of all 4 of us, and I guarantee that I will be at the highest point at a C.
You are not wrong because I'm at a D.
I am also at a D.
I too also am at a D.
Also,
Piper Wright, Public Reporter, gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to Raul, Troubleshooter. It's 1 a blue and a black for a 1/4 legendary creature, zombie mutant rogue. It says once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from among cards in your graveyard that were milled this turn. Has another ability, you can tap it. Each player mills card. Mr. Mill player, Mr. Demir player. Steven, what do you think of Raul?
I love this card, but it is very slow. It is very, very slow.
Yeah.
That's my only thing that I hate about it. I mean, this comes down if you're on, just regular mana, turn 3, it doesn't really do the thing. Now, granted, you're doing the mill stuff, which is always going to be a fun time, but you're probably not going to have the mana to play the card that you milled. So that's the unfortunate thing. But you're in black, so recursion is a fun part.
This is a completely self-mill deck, right? You want to mill yourself to cast the cards. So really it's just card advantage from your graveyard that you've only milled this turn. Seems cool. I don't think it's that good though.
I think this is probably too slow. The once per turn thing kind of kills it for me as well on top of that.
Yeah, I think that you hit it right, Hunter, with like recursion and self-mill, obviously, but I don't know. Raul is just kicking it, chilling, dude. I don't know if I want to play him, though.
Yeah, dude, he's a bit of a troubleshooter, you know what I mean?
I feel like Steven would be the highest out of all of us, so if he's not high on it, there's no hope for me.
Let's find that out. Let's go to the grades. Steven, what are you giving Raul?
Well, I mean, I gotta check the boxes. Is it Demir? Yes.
Check.
Does it mill? Yes.
Check.
Can I play cards from my graveyard with it? Check.
Check.
It's a C.
C for check.
C for check. You know what, Steven? I'm gonna join you. It's a C for me too.
It's a D. I don't really care for it.
I don't care for it as well, but I do think it is deserving of a C.
All right. Well, Raul, troubleshooter, gets the average grade of a C. Next up, Strong, the Brutish Thespian. It is 4 and 2 green for a 7/7 legendary creature, Mutant Berserker. It's got Ward 2. It also has Enrage, which means whenever it is dealt damage, you get 3 rad counters and put 3 +1/+1 counters on Strong. It also says you gain life rather than lose life from radiation.
Kinda
That's
cool.
pretty cool.
Pretty cool. It flips the switch on the whole rad. But it is a big dumb beater.
It is a big dumb beater. However, David, what do you think of Strong? Because I think having the ability to block initially, or you probably never getting swung at, because if you do, you're getting 3 counters on it. Turns into a 10/10 with Ward 2. That's
So,
pretty good.
because of the fact that this card has trample, I'm sorry. Wait, no, it doesn't. You're right. I think that sums up my issues.
Give it trample.
Look, here's the thing. This is a big dumb beater. Ward 2, I actually don't think is all that powerful. I think that for the most part, your opponents are probably going to be able to play this, and if they need to, if they need to deal with this, they're going to be able to save up enough mana to be able to deal with you. I also don't think that the whole I don't know. The radiation aspect of this card is not really a thing. That's flavor text. This is a big dumb beater that becomes bigger. I don't know. I think that this is, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, I think this is a worse version of the card that we started the video with Agent Frank.
I think they're different. I don't like the comparison to Agent Frank because of the way I wanted to build it. But I don't
Well,
know,
why not?
man.
The Agent Frank proliferates. So if you put a +1/+1 counter on it, it grows.
Well, the reason I said I wanted to build it was around Infect specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I would build these differently. I'm not building this with Infect in mind. But
what do you think, Steven?
having radiation give you life rather than lose you life, that's pretty neat.
I don't really care about that part, I'll be honest with you.
Mm-mm.
I didn't say that it was good. I said it was neat.
I think it falls
I'm
to the
just saying I
same.
don't really care.
I think it falls to the same problem as the junk. Whereas this is the first time we're seeing this as a thing, and it's you're probably not gonna run into radiation besides this card. So I think this is more of a support piece. That's why I think it went so good in the Mothman deck, or it could be that good in the Mothman deck, just because when you're getting those rad, you're gaining the life. But at the helm, I don't think there's enough to make me want to use this as my commander.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the grades. Strong for me. As much as I talked it up, I'm still giving it a D.
It is a D. I don't like this.
I'm gonna also give it a D.
I'm going to give it a C because I think there's a lot of fun ways to build this. Green has tons of ways to bring stuff back from your graveyard, even if it doesn't have black in the color scheme here. And I think that it's a really fun fight commander. It's just going to get bigger and bigger, and there's definitely tons of ways to give your creature indestructible. I think it's a little bit better than a D, so that's why I want to go up one.
Strong, the Brutish Thespian, gets the average grade of a D. Moving on to the backup commander for Mutant Menace, it is the Master, Transcendent. It's 1, a black, a green, and a blue for a 2/4 legendary artifact creature mutant. It says when it enters the battlefield, target player gets 2 rad counters. It also has another ability. We could tap it, put target creature card in a graveyard that was milled this turn onto the battlefield under your control. It's a green mutant with base power and toughness 3/3. Steven, You upgraded the deck, so you should know all about the backup commander. You didn't use it, but what do you think of the master?
I probably should have made it my commander in the 300, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a really strong mill-based commander. I love the fact that you can put whatever you want from any graveyard onto the battlefield. Uh, the only issue I kind of had with it was only one target player gets those 2 rad counters. But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, I think that's flavor text if you're building a mill deck around this kind of card.
Yeah, this seems good. I mean, you're kind of just hoping for the best thing from your opponent. Granted, you can mill yourself too and have the best ETB effects possible. Just get them for free.
Yeah. I mean, this with like Yarok would be pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Double ETPs.
I think it is cool that you have really good recursion on this card. I think that it coming in as a 3/3 doesn't really matter because you're probably going to reanimate something that has maybe either a good ETB or just a good static ability. That's cool. And you're just getting it from tapping your commander. Pretty good. You have ways to untap your commander and do it again. Pretty good.
It's true.
I think this card is probably a little too slow for me. And the fact that like you're gonna want to recur things, you're probably gonna want to build your deck so that you're being able to recur things that matter. I don't want to rely on my opponents having cards milled away in the off chance that they do have something decent. I don't think I'm very high on this card for that reason.
I was agreeing. I agree with you that the self mill, I would build that around self mill rather than milling my opponents, just because I don't want to be dependent on what my opponents have. Because who knows what they're playing?
Probably good
But
things.
maybe
Hopefully magic
depends on the
cards.
type of deck.
I don't think
Yeah,
I've ever gone
usually.
into a pod where somebody was like, "Hey, I built a really shitty deck, so you can't take anything."
I mean,
Well,
I don't think anybody's going to show up and be like, hey, my deck's not good. However, I do know people, myself included, who like to play decks where it's like, I have 12 creatures in the entire deck.
I mean, that's a fair point, and thank God you were one of 4 people at that table.
There you go. Maybe that's my skewed perception because like I am obviously not the player that you want to be milling with a card like this because you're probably not going to get a whole lot of good stuff. And the cards that I do happen to run are generally more like utility pieces.
But I think that's why this card kind of shines a little bit because obviously you're playing around a mill theme, so I'm trying to get rid of those utility pieces as well as get a little advantage.
well, let's move on to the grades. Steven, what do you give the master?
I mean, to be honest with you, the fact that it is really slow, it's probably a B for me. I really do want to give this an A because I do think this is a great mill-based commander. But I mean, I just think that it's way too slow for it, so it's a B.
Going 1 under. I'm going to give this a C.
I am going to join Hunter with the C.
I too would like to join you guys with a C.
Look at us, except for Steven. The average grade of the Master Transcendent is a C. The final card we are talking about today is actually the face commander itself. It is the Wise Mothman. It is 1 a black, a green, and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature insect mutant. It's got flying and says whenever the Wise Mothman enters the battlefield or attacks, each player gets a rad counter. It also says whenever 1 or more non-land cards are milled, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to X target creatures, where X is the number of non-land cards milled this way. Steven, you did upgrade the Mutant Menace deck. You used the Wise Mothman for both the $100 and $300 video. If you guys haven't already seen that, check the description down below for that video and the entire explanation of why Steven made the deck the way he did. But, Steven, what do we think of the Wise Mothman?
I think it's the best commander that was released in the set, and that's me being impartial, obviously, because I built it. And that's what also makes it the worst. I think it's really funny that this card is called the Wise Mothman because the lamp that this moth flies to is basically every piece of removal in Magic the Gathering. Because you play this, it gets maybe 3 turns, and before it gets to your turn, at your end step, I'm gonna blow this up. It died every time. I hated it. I just wanted to play this card, and every single time I did, it just ate removal, and I just think that's why I hate it so much.
I like this card a lot, a lot.
It's just too
Bro,
obviously good,
you
though.
play it.
Yeah.
Okay, you play it, and then you'll understand. Not that you don't already, because you usually play your commanders more than most people, but
I do think that Steven brings up a pretty valid concern. Like, this is a hate generator. People don't like things having things be milled, and people also really don't like big, scary flying beaters. And this is both of those stapled on one card.
Yeah.
That's fair. But
All fair. All very fair.
I still think it's really good, though.
Hunter,
Yeah,
we're
it's
all
really
saying
great.
it's really good. Like, it's
really
card.
great, dude.
This card
It's
is doing a lot of stuff, and it's fantastic. So unless every turn you're holding up some kind of counter magic or some kind of protection, you need to be, because you are the target at the table, unfortunately.
Hey, put the boots on it.
Sure, put the boots on it.
Sure. Board wipe.
No,
I mean, I
just
swear
wipe
to
the
God, I'm
board.
pretty sure. I mean, and spoiler, I'm sorry, I can't remember though. I'm pretty sure somebody played a board wipe, and I think this was the only card on the field.
No, no one did that.
I don't think anybody would have done that. However, this card, I do agree with Steven. I think that there's like, it reads, maybe what it is that like it gives the illusion that it plays better than what it actually does. Because realistically speaking, like all that this is actually doing is a mild amount of mill, and it's a big beating flying creature that you count to 21 and you've killed somebody.
I mean, it's a mild amount of mill, but then, like Steven alluded to, in one turn rotation, after playing Mothman, it is not uncommon for it to be a 7/7, an 8/8, and then that's why no one wanted to let you untap with it. If you can untap with this, then someone's getting smacked for a lot.
Sure,
Exactly.
7.
If I can
Whatever,
play,
dude.
That's a lot.
if I can play devil's advocate, though, I think that Caesar, the Mardu commander, is actually much stronger than this one is.
Well, and he got kept in check.
Yeah, you guys are right. This is a hate generator for sure, but it is a hate generator for the reason we're all talking about. It is very powerful.
Yep.
And if you can protect this, you're in blue. Keep up counters. Just put the boots on, like I said. Just any way to keep this alive. Just keep giving more people rad counters. That's gonna start hurting them as well. Not just this commander, but just rad in general. I think is pretty good, especially if you're like really giving people rad counters. It gets out of hand very quickly. But yeah, I don't know. I'm a fan of Wise Mothman.
I'm not a big fan of the protection and the blue and the counter. I mean, you have to pay 4 for this commander, and you're probably playing this on turn 4, and you have no mana to use because you tapped out, and then it dies, and then you have to pay 6, and then you probably still don't have mana. So then, in other words, I have to wait 6 turns on curve to play this and hold up one protection spell from one opponent. I want to love this card more and more and more, but it just, people hate it.
Let's go ahead and move on to the grades. We will start with you, Steven. You did upgrade the deck. What do you think of the Wise Mothman?
I can't give it an A. It's just because like it dies every time, but God, it's an A. I mean, I got to give it what it is. I mean, if you're able to keep it on the field, it gets aggressive. You build the deck the right way, it's going to be really fun regardless. So it's an A.
This card is a C.
I agree with Steven. I'm giving it an A as well.
I don't agree with David, giving it an A.
The Wise Mothman gets the average grade of an A. And that is going to do it for us today. If you guys like this video, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. As a reminder, if you wanted to see the $100 and $300 upgrades to this Mutant Menace deck, check the description for the links to those videos. Comment down below, letting us know what you thought of all these grades. Did you agree with them? Maybe you disagreed with one of our grades. Let us know. Open our eyes to new ideas. Always interested to hear other people's opinions. In the description, you will find links to our social media accounts. Follow us on those as well. That's TikTok, that's Instagram, and that's X, @GuysThatMagic for each one. on the screen right now, those are all of our current Patreon subscribers. Thank you guys so much for your added support. It means the world to us. If you guys wanted to see what they are seeing, which is not here on YouTube, check the description as well for our Patreon link and consider subscribing. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Bye bye.